Thanks for joining me for a Kick Up the Arts. I am Nicola Meehan, and since the spring is very nearly upon us, we are celebrating the forthcoming season of Scottish lunchtime theatre phenomenon, A Play, A Pie and A Pint. Founded by the hugely missed David MacLennan back in 2004, PPP, as it is fondly known, is the most prolific producer of new writing in theatre in the UK, bringing us 30 odd brand new plays every single year. The premise is therefore wildly creative, wildly thrilling and wildly simple. A new play every week, every season, for under an hour, with food and drink included with the price of every ticket. It is a revelation, a wonder, a risk, a cultural institution and an absolute joy. The new season kicks off later this month at its glorious HQ, Glasgow's gilded Oran Mor, but many of the plays will also travel to spiritual PPP homes across the country, from Aberdeen to Dumfries, from Pitlochry to Paisley, from Edinburgh to Ayr, and they are all worth your lunchtime. I caught up with A Play, A Pie and A Pint's fab artistic director Brian Logan earlier this week, along with associate artistic director Layla Noble in her last few days in post before she brings all of her vision and dynamism to Ayr's Gaiety Theatre, where she's going to be at the helm as creative director and CEO very soon indeed. We reflected on the general wonder of A Play, A Pie and A Pint, and we whirled across the spring season's programme, from a comedy drama inspired by a couple doorstepping a beetle in the Mull of Kintyre to a cabaret and life-changing swan song via uprisings, unsung Scottish football heroes, hen nights, dancing shoes, unplanned parenthood, self-discovery, lesbian bikers and grannies in gay bars. All life is here. And there's free pastry thrown into the bargain. Brian and Layla and I caught up between rehearsals, so we are in a fairly echoey space, as you will probably hear. But they are total legends, their chat is great, and that's all part of the magic, right? Okay, so we're going to talk about some of the highlights from the forthcoming spring programme. Spring is already upon us. But before we do, I just love this. I've got the beautiful press release here. And you've said, Brian, that this new season, I love this. The spring programme will be full of laughs, surprises and songs, profoundly engaged with what it means to be alive in 2026. Oh my God, we need that, right? But tell us about bringing something like that, the brightness of a programme like that together. When do you start looking for the plays that are in this season?
Well, the honest answer to that is you never stop looking for the plays.
Sure.
Because there's so many on at PVP, more than any other theatre, that it just is a sort of rolling process. If you're always fielding plays, you've always got a new window open to invite submissions.
Yeah.
You're always meeting writers, and so at any point you're like, oh, maybe that's a candidate for the autumn, or maybe that's a candidate for the following spring, and the job of arranging the next season just never stops.
When you say maybe that's one for the autumn or maybe that's one for the spring, is that purely to do with timing, or is there a sense of maybe a slightly different approach or viewpoint, or that's going to fit in a little bit better at a different time of year? Does that fill in, apart from Christmas obviously?
Yeah, I mean that's a good question, and I'm only in this job for less than 2 years, so I'm still working at the answers to that. I mean, one answer that leaps to mind, which again Layla will get credit for, is that we tend to programme something specific for Halloween. So
it's great fun.
That's obviously going to fall in the autumn season. The autumn season is a wee bit shorter, whereas the spring is longer. So in a certain sense, maybe you can take more risks in the spring, maybe, or there's a sort of slightly wider variety of stuff you can cram in. But yeah, beyond that, I don't think there's anything specific that would incline you to go towards an autumn rather than a spring. Apart from there are a few marks you want to hit, like Halloween. Or there's one in my mind that's coming up in the autumn that's got a sort of Christmassy, pre-Christmassy sort of vibe to it.
Yes, some of them have a feel that just fit a little bit better.
But apart from that, really, we just lean into the variety and want all our seasons to have be stuffed with kind of difference and variety as they can be.
Yeah, absolutely. So Layla, what a hugely exciting time for you. Is it kind of bittersweet as well? Obviously hugely brilliant that your love affair with theatre is going to continue at your Gaiety, but also Play, A Pie and A Pint. There's nothing like it.
No, there's nothing like it, and I am absolutely gutted to be leaving. I mean, the next chapter is so exciting. So obviously really thrilled to be going to Air next. But I mean, PPP is such an institution, it's such an incredible team. You couldn't hope for better people to work with, and the programme's been so exciting over the last few years, and this has been such a transformative role for me, and has definitely pushed me to that next thing. So yeah, I'll be very sad to leave the pie dungeon.
Oh, the pie dungeon. I love you saying
we're sadder.
Yeah. I know. It's like, do you know, there was the most wonderful comment under Air Gaiety had posted about your appointment. You're saying about working with wonderful people, but clearly you're one of them. Here's a comment. Never read them, but I can read them for you. It's okay. Oh my stars. What an appointment. Air Gaiety has won a watch with this gem of a woman.
Yeah, I do have to say I have to thank my mum for
It's so lovely, isn't it? Because I think the thing is, if we really love theatre, you want all the best people in all the best places. So we want you to play A Pint, but also Air Gaiety will be wonderful.
Absolutely, and not the end of our collaboration either. I mean, Air takes Play Pint shows all the time, and I'm really looking forward to entering into that relationship in a different way with Brian and the team, because it'll still mean that we get to work together quite a bit.
Completely. I think that's something that's been a really interesting evolution, Brian, of A Pint, isn't it? The fact that I live in Stirling, so even the McRobert now, you know, everywhere, like wherever you are, there is a bit more accessibility to it. That idea of this completely and utterly still unique notion of theatre, but taking it round the country.
Yeah, we want PPPs to be cropping up in every single community in Scotland, really. And that's not coming from a sort of like imperialist, expansionist impulse.
They're taking over.
It definitely is.
Entirely, yeah.
I mean, we get approaches on a weekly basis from the most far-flung corners of Scotland saying, how do we get PPP to our village hall or to our church hall or whatever. And we want to fight. It's not at the moment. We're not always able to say yes to all those offers, but we want to get there. And it has been the trajectory of the last 5 years or so that they're now, as you say, Stirling, Aberdeen, Edinburgh, and a bunch of other places too. So more the merrier as far as we're concerned.
I've spoken to quite a few people, of course, who have been involved with Play A Pint over the years. Dave Anderson, Blythe Duff, Colin McCready, Hannah Janet Scott. They all have a couple of associations that they both love and sort of hate, and it's to do with the smell of the pastry when you're about to go on stage, the nerves. But for the audience, it's perfect. You know, Leila, how would you almost sort of define the very, very, very versatile appeal of a Play A Pint? Because it's so much about new and established voices on the stage, but also in the audience.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the things I love about PPP is how immediate it is to its environment. When you read that quote out from the press release that Brian was talking about in relation to how we live now, that's the amazing thing about having a theatre that can respond to its now so quickly and can programme so responsively to what's going on around it. But also, I really enjoy the creative or genre whiplash that you get every week at PPP, and it's one of the things that makes it such an exciting and alive experience. And for the people that come every single week, I think that's what they love about it too, is that you can be immersed in some historic drama one week and then in some contemporary comedy the next. And I don't think there's anywhere in the UK, Europe, the world, where you can experience that every single Monday and be at the cutting edge of what's being produced in this country. I mean, there really isn't anything quite like that. And the pies, of course. I mean, the sausage rolls, I have to say, not a vegan, but the vegan sausage rolls, they are pretty good.
I'm actually converted to the vegan sausage rolls now, and nor am I a vegetarian. Every detail is perfect. That idea of a sort of cultural whiplash, I love that, Brian, because it is, you know, you have so many people who just take a punt on it. Just come down and see what's on.
That's amazing though, because it's so pulling in a different direction from all the orthodoxies about theatre. You know, everybody says new writing, you've got to be careful, your audiences are going to be frightened. You know, and what PPP has demonstrated, which is like an amazing gift to the industry, is you can put on a new play every week and people will flock to it if you create a context in which that is a fun thing to do. And is not pretentious and is not too expensive and slots in neatly to the rhythm of their day. And people will come along and they will trust you and give them a good experience, and they won't mind if it's bad one week, come the next, because they're going to see their pals and they're going to have a pint and they're going to meet the staff and be hosted in a friendly way, which are all things that PPP does really well.
Yeah, that's actually a wonderful. There's almost a lovely sense of a relationship of trust there, isn't there? I think that's a really, really valuable thing, and it's not something I think you can just sit in a boardroom and go, let's do that. How can you? It's built up over time. We see the 21st anniversary, I think, was last year, and now we're in this new spring season, 18 productions. I know, because I've got the press release. I'm not going to get into the list them one by one. But let's talk about some of the highlights. I'll pick a few things out. By all means, pick out your own as well. There are a few themes, I think, that emerge across the programme. You'll tell me about others. Even just things like friendship, unlikely encounters, music. Certainly, there's a real resonance of music. I think the programme completely kind of sings out. It kicks off with someone's knocking at the door. We talked about new voices, of course, and new faces, but some very, very dearly loved faces and voices on stage with us as well. So this is a true story, right? Someone's knocking at the door. Paul McCartney had a house, and people wanted to go and find it.
Yeah, well, my understanding is that playwright Millie, this is a story that her grandparents told.
Oh, really? So it's
which I imagine it may have been likely fictionalised. It's certainly based on some
stories are stories.
Yeah, and it is the story about a young Scottish couple in the 1970s who decide to go and find Paul McCartney's house up in the Highlands and knock on his door.
Yeah.
And that's the story it tells, as relayed by two grandparents to their granddaughter.
Okay, and it's Sally Reid directing, Millie Sweeney, as you mentioned, writing, and Johnny Watson and Maureen Carr. I mean, again, I've spoken to Johnny Watson several times, and he of course, was in the first incarnation of Man's Best Friend, which later went to the Tron. I think just like the joyousness of that and wanting to see that dynamic on stage, and again, real friendly faces, that will draw people in as well. It's
absolutely. And we just saw a little sneak preview because it was their first day today, so the reads just happened, and the chemistry is wonderful, of course, and a really brilliant team behind it. So I think it's going to be quite an event, and already sold out, semi-sold out. Might release a few more tickets, but doing great guns. People are really excited about us being back for another season, and that's a great thing to start with.
Yeah, I do think it's like straight out the traps. Although it's bookended, we have to say, at the other end of the season. Crocodile Rock, so Sandy McGregor's, like a musical. There's a drag queen. It's a one-man musical. It's a favourite as well, so it's fine.
Yeah, it's pretty rare.
Yeah.
I mean, PvP, the what it says on the tin is a world premiere where you play every week. And we're breaking the rules. We've got that wrong. This is not a world premiere. It's been here before. So we don't do that very often, but maybe once a year or so, if there's an occasion to do so, we'll bring back something that's been well loved in the past, and that's happening again this time. And part of the attraction, I think, was that Darren Brown was stepping back into the role, and everyone in PvP loves him, and he's such a superstar, so it felt like a good opportunity to.
And also, there will be people who want to come again. There will be people who are seeing it for the first time. Layla,
Indeed, yeah.
Maybe been because it is like this short term. It's this burst of complete creativity, and then it's on to the next thing. So sometimes it's quite radical to say, yeah, do you know what? We're breaking our own rules. It's coming back. What else do we have in the kind of musical type highlights? Swan Song. So of course, this was a David Gray radio play. So
Indeed,
how's that evolved then?
Well, I mean, Eve came to Brian with the idea to adapt it, so David obviously adapted it from the original mythology, and so it's gone through a couple of rounds of it, but you'd be able to speak on that.
Eve and Finn, who wrote the music, approached us, and it just felt like it was pressing loads of PvP buttons. I mean, we'd wanted to work with Finn for ages, but hadn't managed to do so in the past, so that was a big attraction. The David Gregg connection, we felt, would reach out to people, and it tells like a kind of sexy, sassy, through the night sort of romance story with some like deeper undercurrents. That just felt like this was one that we wanted to pursue. So they turned it around in quite short order. Actually, it's not that long ago that they came to us. Another of the great advantages of PvP.
Is there a greater sort of instance of people approaching you and saying, "Can we put this on at a play, a pint? Is it halfway? What's the kind of balance there with you seeing things or being aware of writers or actors or directors, and how much is it lobbying?"
Yeah, good question.
That's a good question.
There probably is more of people coming to us than us going to them, just because it's all we can do to get through the stuff that arrives to us unsolicited. We don't really have that much time to be proactive. But yeah, there is a bit of the latter too. We do. We have loads of relationships with writers, and we think actually we'd quite like more from that quarter. So let's go out and see what they've got. How would you classify that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a mixed bag, and we obviously do quite a lot of outreach with things like the David MacLennan Award that we do to try and find new writers, and we've partnered with Playwright Studio Scotland a number of times to open those avenues up, and we'll continue to work with them in different ways. But also when we have relationships with writers, which might be relationships that you can see, like writers like Katie Nixon that came through the David Mac and then has worked with Brian on a couple of plays, or whether it's behind the scenes where there's people that we're interested in that keep on coming in pitching us different ideas and we're interested in developing them. I think it is a real mixed bag, but I would say the thing that unites all of those pathways is it's really writer-led.
Yes.
We're really first and foremost about the writing and the story and about the exciting idea and the opening gambit and the thing that's going to interact with the audiences. So no matter how it comes to us, it's always in that vein of looking at the story, looking at the writer, and how do we support that to get to its...
Yeah, it's the storytelling, isn't it?
Yeah,
in whatever medium, it just so happens, certainly, and I'm always going to be a bit lured in by the music, live-looped musical comedy Off the Rails, a one-way ticket to Aberdeen.
I have to say, it is really exciting Off the Rails. Steph McGarry came to us actually as an actor originally.
Okay.
So she was in Flick and Pie last season. And Steph's an amazing musician and composer and had this idea and sent us a couple of clips of some songs, and they're very funny and brilliant. So I'm really excited about Off the Rails. I think it's a one-woman musical on a loop pedal as well, which what's not to love?
Katie Tunstall, eat your heart out. This is going further. We have lots of experiences of women, I guess, as well, even within the music. We have Unexpecting, nightclubs, beat poetry, and also Hannah Howie's cabaret-style musical Funeral for My Boobs. Sounds like, I mean, again, the ways in which you can tell a story and the ways in which you can explore life experience within a confine, which I think is fascinating. And that's the lovely thing, the parameters of a play, A Pint, Brian, the fact that it's like, do what you want, but here's your time and here's your slot.
Yeah, we're always really eager to communicate. It's got to be like 50, 55 minutes max, it's going to be 3 performers max, but within those parameters there is nothing that you can't do.
Totally.
So it's really important to us that people don't reduce their ambition to fit.
Yeah.
If anything, they expand their ambition to fit. Because as anybody who's ever made art in the history of the world knows, a few rules and parameters are actually really creatively liberating.
Completely.
They give you like something to go, okay, that's the challenge. That's what I'm working within.
Yeah.
So we think all worlds can fit within those 50 minutes and 3 performers.
What was it like for you coming back up? I know you've obviously worked in theatre forever. I know you've been down in Camden, but what was it like coming back up? Because it's one thing to theorise how amazing this opportunity was, the day-to-day and actually the practicalities of it, and just the sheer volume of productions is unreal.
Yeah, I mean, it's like it's been an amazing privilege and massive gift and joy. It's the long and short of it. I couldn't be happier. But I just feel like we're at PPP, we're standing on the shoulders of giants, really, because you just think, wow, this amazing thing has been created. Others have tried to do this in other parts of the world, and no one's ever succeeded in making a lunchtime theatre offer this spectacular. Yeah. So to me, I'm just like, what? A, don't break it, it's so precious. And B, what a great team to find yourself part of. What a sort of great spirit of what a can-do attitude. Yeah. What a place where you can say yes to things at least 30 times a year. Where so many people in my kind of job actually have to say no almost all the time.
That's so absolutely true. It's almost with the best will in the world, you find yourself quite often in positions where it's just not possible. And this is the opposite of that in many ways.
Just, I mean, goodness knows we also have to say a lot of no's, but at least we're in a position to like enable 30 times a year or more. Yeah. So it's just like, it does feel like a blessed place, and it's just like constantly full of laughter and excitement. And tearing your hair out as well. Everybody has that. At least we get the positives as well.
Yeah, it's only real life, isn't it? I've got to say, even just as an audience member, there's something absolutely lovely. I tend to come on my own, and as often as not, it's absolutely stowed out. And there's maybe been one ticket, I've got one at the last minute, I've bought it, and there's always someone who'll make a space for you or offer you the last vegan sausage roll when you're in the queue beside them. There is such a lovely community spirit about it, and presumably that's what's lovely there. Leila, about going to somewhere like your Gaiety for various reasons, but still having that association, not completely leaving it behind.
100%. I mean, I think that AIR and PPP actually share that, which is part of what attracted me to it. AIR is obviously owned by its community and run by its community, and it sort of feels like that here too. I mean, like we're so responsive with our audience here, and they have such I will say about a PPP audience, I love them dearly. They'll never mince their words and they'll tell you exactly how they feel about something. And that's what I think we all really, as a team, really enjoy, because you know straight away if they don't love what you've done, they give you feedback, they tell you what they think, and that's a great relationship to have with your audience, because what else are we doing it for other than to have those conversations?
That's so true. So you are taking that with you, but you are also directing in this season.
I am,
right?
yes. The Hen Night by Debbie Hannon. I mean, I'm really happy that even though I'm leaving, I still get to keep one toe back here whilst I'm transitioning. But yeah, it's really exciting. I mean, Debbie and I have known each other a little while now, but I've not had a chance to properly collaborate on a piece of work. So I've worked with Debbie well, they've been here directing, but this is our chance to fulfill our sort of, I think both of us might identify each other as a bit of a theatre crush, so it's a bit of a love story for us to get to do this together. But yeah, it's a sort of magical mystery, really female storytelling about a single night and a hen night. So I think I won't give away too much of the mystery that happens, but I'm very excited about it. Yeah.
I'll just quote one line from Paisley's, which describes it as a tequila-fueled odyssey.
Which, I mean, screams Debbie Hannon to me, to be honest.
I'm also very taken. Stellar Quines, an association. They are breathtaking roads, is that what that's called? Okay, so this sounds brilliant. Set on Sky, lesbian bikers. What's not to love?
What isn't to love? I mean,
it's going to happen. You've got the programme beside you, Brian, so have a flick through it. Is there anything you would particularly identify? I'm very excited about Kenmure Street. And what I love is this story, this absolutely hugely impassioned story about collectivism, a key point of Glasgow Film Festival's programme this year, on screen and on stage as well. It's going to be celebrated.
Yeah, I know, we're excited about it, yeah. I mean, our audience responds very warmly to stories that are explicitly Glaswegian. So we couldn't resist this one. And we're inspired by it. How often do you get the chance to tell positive political stories?
Quite.
Not that often, so when you get the chance, you should celebrate it and seize it. So we're excited about that one.
Simon's also another example of a writer that we've been working with and developing. Simon came to us through the Birds of Paradise call out.
Simon G.
Yes, with, oh gosh, I'm going to forget the name of the original play that he did last time.
Sunshine Spa.
Sunshine Spa, there you go.
We got there.
My head was saying Marrakesh, Sunshine Spa. So yeah, Simon's a great example of moving with us as the programme develops.
Is it important to have, obviously, completely the new voices, but is it also important to have the familiar faces, the well-kent faces behind the stage, backstage, on stage, starting off with someone like Johnny Watson, who's just like such a wonderful, hugely loved figure on TV, in film, and certainly on the stage. Is it about striking that balance, and is there a balance? Are you conscious of saying, okay, that's that number of kind of newer artists, and then here's a kind of familiar. Yeah,
there definitely is a balance, and I wouldn't say we're aware of there being a balance. I wouldn't say we dedicate too much time to sort of getting the balance right. As long as it feels like it's still there. I mean, PPP is weird because usually you sort of subdivide theatre in your head into like mainstream theatre and fringe theatre, or established theatre and alternative theatre. The PPP is all these things because it is simultaneously like the first port of call for theatre makers in Scotland to get their work on. But it's also a place where you will find your Jonathan Watsons and Mo Cars and a whole bunch of other people, and very well established writers or theatre makers like Nicola McCartney also doing work there. So again, I keep harping on how PPP is unique, but PPP is unique.
No, I completely agree. And the other thing is, I think for them, having spoken to Johnny Watson about it, and I asked him, was there a balance between TV for him and theatre? And he kind of said, I'm paraphrasing, but he kind of said, not so consciously, because it's who can ever define or indeed confine their lives like that. But at the same time, he's like, I do try and do something, and I do try and do a play, a pint, or I want to do something in theatre relatively regularly, because that's what keeps you absolutely kind of on your toes. That absolutely keeps you in the moment, because it's a completely different process to something like TV.
Yeah, we're really mindful of our responsibility to the industry because we provide a lot of work for
exactly, totally.
I mean, I think we employ more freelancers than any other theatre in Scotland. So we sort of feel that is one of the responsibilities we're discharging, and specifically for people at the start of their career.
Yeah.
So even if it weren't for the fact that we're also enthusiastic about new writers and new work, that's one reason to make sure that you've always got a pretty kind of buoyant representation from that side of things in your programme. But yeah, equally, we're mindful that if we want to keep our audience on side as we hit them up with new material the whole time, you occasionally want to throw in a sweetener and go, here's someone you love and you've really enjoyed watching over the years.
Yeah, totally.
So that's the way the balance sort of works.
Or sometimes it'll be a character or a figure that you're familiar with, but not in that capacity. I'm thinking about, I saw Alan Bissett, and it was to do with the Scottish Mental Health Arts Festival a few years ago, and it was a kind of Syd Barrett reimagining, so it's like everything to play for. But there's something about it being on the Play A Pint stage that just brings in an audience where maybe if it was somewhere else, would that be a bit abstract? Would that be a bit strange? And it just seems to kind of work because you've got that trust. There is sport as well. I'm going to put bingo in with sport, okay, because there's something involved in bingo, and that's the kind of girl I am. But also football. There's a really interesting, the Corinthian story. So tell me about this, because again, this isn't necessarily something I would ever know about otherwise.
Well, I mean, I'm excited about this.
You're the resident football geek.
I mean, I work in the theatre, but the most dramatic thing that's happened to me in the last 5 years is Scotland 4, Denmark 2.
Yes! I don't think you're alone in that, Brian.
So to me, the fact that we have a play about the history of Scottish football in the week immediately preceding the World Cup is like the programming achievement I'm most proud of in this.
Very glad I honed in on it. Tell us a little bit more about it though, because it's a really interesting story.
It's a fantastic story, right? Yeah. We've got the playwright Joe McCann brought us the story. I mean, it's not an unfamiliar story, I think, to a lot of people who know about Scottish football, but I don't think it's been told on stage before, or indeed told in anything like this way. The first ever black international footballer, and surprisingly a captain of Scotland in the 1880s. I mean, even today, the idea of a black captain of Scotland is surprising, which is, it is what it is. But in the 1880s, a guy called Andrew Watson captained the Scotland football team for 3 games. One of them was a record victory against England, 6-1, which disappointingly has never been repeated. I'm sure it's only a matter of time.
Absolutely.
So anyway, Joe is telling the story about this guy who was dual heritage, grew up in Grenada in the Caribbean, came over to Scotland with his dad, and ended up becoming a part of a pioneering generation of footballers. So he's telling that story now, and we've programmed it in the run-up to the World Cup, and we're indeed trying to organise a performance of it at Hampden Park.
Oh,
TBC.
Brilliant.
Fingers crossed.
Well, listen, I'm all for that. I'm here for this campaign, 100%. Sounds wonderful. What perfect timing as well. Like some moments are just a gift, aren't they?
Yeah.
So for it to be the week of this,
and
to be able to have that, to be able to have the theatre where you can do that. It's not booked out a year in advance. You've got the access to that space.
Yeah, you have to do it the week before the World Cup, though, not the weekend. I'll be so disappointed.
No, we'll be so busy celebrating. That's all I'm saying. We won't be thinking about. Just finally, is there anything else you want to hone in on in the new season at the moment? I think we're going to hopefully do some specials on some of the particular productions, but is there anything I haven't mentioned that's very close to your heart, Leila, so far?
I mean, Brian won't say it because he's directing it, but I'm very excited about Crying
You could ask me.
That I've seen some of the development of, and I think is really special and I think relatively unusual for Play A Pint in terms of its genre and its style and the way it communicates, but also really funny and brilliant and political without feeling like it's throwing it in your face. I think it's really clever, and I will definitely be back from air to get my ticket to go and see that one for sure.
Okay, Brian, any more?
I mean, there's so many. We haven't mentioned Fish, which is a new one which is set in Ireland, and I'm excited about that because when Leila made an Irish themed show in our last season, we suddenly realised that Irish shows at PPP are very
they work very well.
Quite the contingent.
There's going to be a lot more Irish shows. But no, Fish is over and above its Irish identity. It's also just a really lovely dark comedy, which I think is going to be a real banger. So I'm excited about that. Pothole Kingdom we didn't mention, which is a very funny black comedy about municipal politics.
Obviously.
It's not the kind of thing that people flock to, is it, when they say, I'm going to play about local government. If you want to. But this is the one that bucks the trend, I promise.
Okay, so it's all sounding awesome. Just before we finish though, and because we're talking about, I guess, getting new audiences as well as existing audiences into theatres, and obviously you both have had a lifelong love affair with theatre, like what was your introduction, Leila? Because now you're taking it to Air Gaiety, and of course you've been here and you've been involved in so many different aspects. I'm going to ask Brian afterwards so he gets more time to think, sorry. Leila. And like, did you always love it, every aspect? When did you first set foot in a theatre?
I think my earliest theatrical memory is my parents took me to go and see a production of The Importance of Being Earnest.
Wow.
And I was about 6 years old, and I came out saying I want to be Lady Bracknell.
Really?
All I ever wanted was, it could still happen, I've still got it in me, and I was completely obsessed and hooked from that moment, so it was complete lifelong obsession with theatre.
Were your parents big theatre goers? Because taking your 6-year-old to see The Importance of Being Earnest speaks of people who are maybe very familiar with or certainly...
Yeah, I would say they did love the theatre, and they did go a fair amount, and also just took me to see completely inappropriate things that 6-year-olds wouldn't be interested in. I also went to see an awful lot of stand-up comedy that I definitely shouldn't have been in at the age. But yeah, I would say that they did have a good relationship with it. I mean, I grew up in rural North Wales, so my local theatres were like Theatre Clwyd, but also we got to go to Liverpool, to the Everyman, and further afield, and it was I was really lucky. It was a part of my life always, and then did a lot of Amdram as a kid, which I've got the personality for, I think, is the thing. And then I took a bit of a detour before going into my career as a theatre maker into like support work and working with homeless young people, but I think that's because the stories that speak to me and the things that I love doing are about communities, and they're about people and about their lives. So consistently, I think I've always been obsessed with the human condition, and I think theatre's like the ultimate obsession with the human condition. So, and I enjoy making people laugh. So comedy's Lady Bracknell lives in me at all times.
It's going to happen. I'm going to look out for that. What about you, Brian?
Well, I used to go and see the Purvis Puppets by a theatre when I was a kid.
Yes.
I didn't come from a theatre family at all. So I got into it when I was a teenager because it was a way of speaking to girls.
Yep.
The classic, the oldest story ever told.
It's indeed. That story ain't getting told when I play a pint. The stage has been told a few times. But that's it, isn't it? So the social aspect of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's still, not speaking to girls, just in case my partner's listening, I would never dream of doing such a thing. But the social aspect is still, it's still a big part of it. But yeah, that's where I started. And then I went to Scottish Youth Theatre Summer Festival with Kate Tunstall, in fact, you mentioned earlier.
There you go. Fight for life.
Yeah. We were on SYT together in 1990.
Were you?
Sorry to age you, Katie.
And me, thanks very much.
So yeah, that was my background, just unexceptional. And then I never studied drama or theatre or any of those things, just did like a university degree, and then stumbled into a theatre company that a friend of mine formed. She formed a theatre company. They all argued with each other, and it fell apart. And she gave me a call and said, "Can you come and join my theatre company fast? We're supposed to be doing a show next week."
Wow, really?
And we ended up running that company together for 17 years.
Bloody hell.
So.
See, it's just being open to opportunities, but also chasing them, because we need to get you that right. I'm going to be looking for that on stage. That's going to happen, Leila. But you've got a job to get to after this job.
Yeah,
before that.
got a few things on.
All the very best at Air Gaiety. Hopefully it comes out and maybe see you there sometimes.
Absolutely.
And I'm here to this incredible looking season, as always. And next week after the first one?
It's just going into rehearsal this morning, so it's starting 2 weeks today. It'll start.
Yeah. Easy for me to say, so I can just swan in, enjoy my vegan sausage roll, but that'll be it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks again to A Play, A Pie and A Pint's artistic director Brian Logan and outgoing associate artistic director Leila Noble, who is off the Air's wonderful Gaiety Theatre as creative director and CEO. We are so lucky to have them both, and to have A Play, A Pie and A Pint. The new season opens at Glasgow's Oran Mor later in February, and it runs until June. And honestly, if you can get a ticket, go to any of them. Go to all of them in Glasgow or at all sorts of amazing venues around the country, from Pitlochry to Paisley, from Edinburgh to Ayr, from Dumfries to Aberdeen. Take a chance on any of them. Anytime, you're in for a treat and a drink. And your lunch. What is not to love? If you fancy hearing more Play, A Pie and A Pint chat with previous A Kick Up the Arts guests, a formative character is of course Scottish theatre revolutionary Dave Anderson. There's an episode dedicated to Dave. There are also episodes with legends like Jonathan Watson, Blythe Duff, Colin McCready, Alan Bissett, Hannah Jarrett Scott, Jordan Young and more. And I'll hopefully have more brilliant theatre guests for you very, very soon. For now though, thank you so much as ever for listening, sharing, commenting and getting involved. Hope to see you soon. Bye for now.